Hello and welcome to the Hindus YouTube channel and another episode of Talking Politics where I, Nistula Hebbar, political editor of the paper, takes you through one big development that has been making headlines in domestic politics. Now this week we turn to protests by farmer groups who have been demanding a legal guarantee, a legislative guarantee for purchasing crops at minimum support prices and a farm loan waiver. Now, after Delhi was besieged for much of 2020 and 2021 by protests by farmers against the 3 farm laws which the central government had passed and which the farmers claimed would introduce private players detrimental to the interest of farmers and the retreat of the state from the agricultural sector, these farm protests as a result, because they were so much reminiscent of those protests where for months on end we had farmers groups camping on Delhi's borders, and then there was that one cataclysmic protest where tractors came into the city and people went up to the Red Fort, etc. So these farmer protests, when they happened last week, also drew a lot of attention. Now the last round of these kind of protests had resulted in the withdrawal of the farm laws, and farmers are hoping that their demands would be met again. Unfortunately, at the time of recording this episode of Talking Politics, there has already been one fatality, the death of one farmer aged 21, which farm groups say was due to the use of rubber bullets by the administration, while the government says that it is waiting to ascertain the cause of death. So what is the story so far? What has it been? And then we can go back into some of the history and the demands and what are the talks, etc. So just like look at events that have happened. So on February 13th, the group of farmers heeded a call given by the Kisan Mazdoor Morcha and the Samyukta Kisan Morcha, non-political. There are 2 branches of this Samyukta Kisan Morcha. One is political, one is Rajnetik, and the other is Rajnetik, which is non-political. And they began a march ostensibly towards the national capital of Delhi to press for the fulfillment of their demands, which include, as I said before, a legal guarantee for MSP and a farm loan waiver. Now, what has happened so far? Well, farmers from different states reportedly started heading for Delhi. It has been largely from Punjab. The last time around there was Western UP as well, Western UP, and then towards Delhi, and then again from Punjab and Haryana towards Delhi. This time it's largely from Punjab that many farmers started their tractor trolley march to reach Delhi via Haryana, and they arrived at the Shambhu Ambala and Khanori Jind interstate boundary between Haryana and Punjab, and they were stopped from entering Haryana. As a commuter, let me tell you, the police in Delhi and UP, etc., are also not taking any chances. There are huge barricades that have been put, which is making things difficult for commuters like me, daily commuters who go from the NCR region towards Delhi and come back in the evening, But it just shows that there had been a sizable trauma to the law enforcement agencies as well and political executive about the 2020 and 2021 protests, and all these barricades have been put up. So when these farmers with their tractor trolleys came, they were stopped at Shambhu Ambala and the Khanori Jind interstate boundary. Now the Haryana government, as I said, had put in place elaborate security arrangements and multi-layer barricades, wires, boulders, trenches, etc. And additionally, the police had resorted to the use of tear gas and through drones and water cannons to disperse agitating farmers. The police-farmer clashes, in short, ensued when farmer groups attempted to enter Haryana by pushing and throwing away these multi-layer barricades. So there's been a massive deployment of cops for a long time. Since February 13th, and on Wednesday, February 21st, according to an official statement, Shubkaran Singh, just 21, from Balloh village in Bhatinda, suffered a fatal head injury at Dhabi Gujran in Patiala. He was taken to Patiala's Rajindra Hospital, where he was declared brought dead. The cause of injury is yet to be ascertained. However, farmer leaders have alleged that he was hit by a rubber bullet when he was there at the front lines of the protest, and the official statement added that during the ongoing farmer protest, 9 other people have suffered injuries at the Shambhu border and 14 at Dhabi Gujran near Khanori Jind. Now, farmer leaders said that this was the first death in clashes since the Delhi Chalo march began. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Singh Mann said that after the post-mortem of Shubkaran, a police case would be registered, and after a probe, whoever is found responsible, strict action will be taken against them. Haryana police on their part said that the Data Singhwala Khanori interstate border, the protesters surrounded the police from all sides and they were pouring chili powder in the stubble and attacked policemen using sticks along with stone pelting, in which 12 policemen were seriously injured. Now, following the fatality that happened and this escalation that has happened in the protests, other farm groups, including Rakesh Tikayat-led Samyukta Kisan Morcha, which had not really joined in. As I said, it was largely from Punjab. The Western UP side was fairly quiet. Now, suddenly Rakesh Tikayat said that they would be supportive of the protests and that on February 26th, they would be taking out a tractor march to the highway that goes to Delhi from Western UP, which would be a one-day program, and meetings will be held across the country after that. And on March 14th, a big meet is being planned to be held at the Ramlila Maidan in New Delhi for a day. And he said that, government has said that they will not be stopping farmers. Let's see how good the government are at their word. Now, speaking of the government has been trying to kind of hold talks with farmer groups and kind of resolve the issue, as they had tried in the past as well. And what has been the result of all of that? So far, 4 rounds of meetings have been held between the union government and farm leaders, but they have not resulted in anything concrete. On February 18th, after the latest meeting with union ministers Arjun Munda, Piyush Goyal, Nityanand Rai, who is Minister of State for Home, farmer leaders Jagjit Singh Dallewal and Sarwan Singh Pandher, the government offered to procure 5 crops on MSP by entering into a contract for 5 years. Protesting farmers have rejected this kind of offer. The 5 crops included masoor, which is a kind of a lentil, urad dal, arhar dal, maize and cotton. So basically, they are not kind of interested in it. And what are the primary demands? This was just something that like a SOP had been offered to the farmers. Farmers are sticking to their primary demand, which is that no law and MSP has been enacted yet, and the union government is turning a blind eye to their other demands despite repeated attempts. And what is an MSP? I've been talking about MSP a lot. MSP is the price at which the government promises on paper to procure agricultural produce from farmers. And that largely decides the price of that good, even when you're selling it to private players. So if the government is buying at say 60 rupees a kilo, the 60 rupees is the base mark on which the product would be sold. If the private player is offering less, the farmer is free to sell all of his produce to the government. In a good year, when the price goes up, the farmer can then choose to sell it to a private player. So the MSP kind of gives a basic minimum or the base price for a crop. So that is why all this agitation has been going on. Government has said it's not possible for a legal guarantee on MSP. You can't have something like this. This is something which is, produces something dependent on nature, etc., farming, and there are complications in the way. Now, other demands of the farmers group include a complete loan waiver for farmers and farm labor. So a monthly pension for 58-year-old farmers and farm laborers, the withdrawal of the Electricity Amendment Bill, and the reintroduction of the Land Acquisition Act 2013 to ensure farmers' consent and compensation at 4 times the collectorate rate. 200 days of employment annually at a daily wage of rupees 700 per day under the NG-NREGA. Now, all of this is happening on the face of it. It is farmers demanding something and the government kind of negotiating with them. But as usual, and especially with a sector like the agriculture sector, which is the largest employer of Indians, there is a lot of politics that is involved in all of these things. Now, while I said that on the face of it, these protests are reminiscent of the protests that were held in 2020, 2021, there are differences. Now, this time around, the participation from farmers groups, as I said, from Western UP's Jat belt, namely groups under the Tikayat brothers, have not been that active. They've only just stepped in now when there has been an escalation in the violence. And one of the main backers of the political backers of the earlier farm agitation, the one who gave the political heft to the Jat belt to go ahead, was the Rashtriya Lok Dal, or the RLD, under Jayant Chaudhary. And they are now BJP allies and currently not interested in pushing this forward. The government in Punjab is headed by the Aam Aadmi Party, whereas earlier it was headed by the Congress, and Chief Minister Maan has been forced to walk back from earlier assertions that state governments should guarantee MSP. When he was in the opposition, he had no trouble saying, okay, state governments, you have to give MSP. It's as much your duty as that of the central government. But now that he's Chief Minister himself, there has been a bit of a walking back from that position. More than that, the BJP, which stormed back to power, in Uttar Pradesh, breaking decades of a record of alternation, that no party would be elected back with a full majority there in Uttar Pradesh. They broke that record and they won the elections in 2022. This is despite the farmers' protests of 2020, 2021, which had a huge impact on Western UP. Western UP was highly mobilized, especially the Jat voters were highly mobilized behind that agitation. But the BJP did not have to pay a political price of the last round of protests, and therefore it is negotiating from a politically secure position, seeing that this has not had a political impact, and therefore the government can be a little secure when it is negotiating with farmers' groups. Now, all this does not take away from the fact that agriculture continues to be one of the least remunerative sectors of India, and especially compared to the past, it's not remunerative much. And that protest unaddressed for a long time lead to them going in different directions: radicalization, separatist movements. Anything can happen. Anybody can infiltrate such groups who are anyway in a sense state of anger and frustration, and things can move in another direction with darkly political undertones. And for the government, therefore, whatever the political space, however secure you are, saying, okay, that's not going to hit on voting behavior, it is imperative that a deal be struck and all parties go away from the negotiating table happy and satisfied. This is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching.